Hello everybody. In this video, we will look at our learning objective 1, determine and explain the problems in the traditional facility delivery process. We will achieve that objective by conducting a critical review of the facility delivery process in the architectural engineering and construction industry. A critical review of the facility delivery process lead to observations of two withdrawals or drawbacks. The first one is the fragmented nature of the industry at the project level and also at the industry level. At the project level, we end up seeing the involvement of large number of participants with varying roles. If you look at a typical construction projects, you have the design engineer organization, you have the owner organization, you have outside organizations, and of course you have the constructors or the contractors involved. They all play different roles. And the second, the heterogeneity in many aspects. For example, these organizations, they differ in size, they vary in disciplines, and they all have conflicts. And the complexity in the effective communication attributed to the involvement of large number of participants and the heterogeneity in the involved organizations. At the industry level, we are looking at the construction industry as consisted of thousands of general and specialty contractors, labor organizations, designers, material and equipment suppliers, and the government regulatory agencies. Top 40 companies perform between 25 to 35% of the work. And the average company size was less than 10 employees. Approximately 2 million construction companies exist today, and not many of them will sustain over a 10-year time period. So the second drawback in the current facility delivery process is the heavy reliance on paper. So the figures towards the bottom of this slide should look familiar to everybody, especially for those of you who have had field experience. These are called plan rooms, right? And oftentimes they are set either in an office or in a designated area next to a conference room. That's the place you host all the drawings, specs, and thousands of documents there. So a few common statistics would reveal how significant the problem is. Taking large-scale projects into consideration, averagely the number of pages of documents are 56,000. Number of bank boxes to hold the project documents, 25. Number of 4-drawer filing cabinets, 6. Equivalent digital data size is about 3,000 megabytes. And guess how many trees we need to generate this amount of paper? 6 20-inch diameter and 50 feet high trees. That's a lot of big trees. Now, the problems. It is a time-consuming process because of the involvement of human, right? It's error-prone, and you're guaranteed to encounter a lot of mistakes. And also looking at the paper lead to something called poor interoperability. Some consequences: inconsistency, inaccuracy, and uncertainty in design. Documentation and management of changes during construction becomes extremely difficult. And also you won't have access to accurate as-built data, especially in the operation and maintenance stage. So because of the fragmented nature and also the heavy reliance on paper, we have documented inefficiencies in the construction industry. The figure on top shows the productivity of non-farm industries. In other words, we're looking at all industries, right? And the bottom, the orange line, represents the construction industry. As you can see, in overall, our industries are doing well. Compared to 1964 data, the average productivity has increased to be over 200% of its original of its initial productivity. However, if you look at the construction industry, we are lagging behind. We're even seeing a lower productivity than 1964 productivity, regardless of all the technology advances and the computational applications. So in 1994, National Institute for Standards and Technology conducted a study to look at the inefficiency issues, especially attributed to the use of paper drawings. This study suggests that inefficient interoperability accounted for an increase in construction costs by $6.12 per square foot for new construction, and an increase in 23 cents per square foot for operations and maintenance. This doesn't sound too much, right? But I mean, thinking about how many square footages we are building, how many square footages of building or office space we are maintaining, these two together amounts to a total added cost of $15.8 billion. That is a lot of money, right? That is a lot of money. Apparently the cost is magnificent. So with this one, I would like to ask everybody to take an exercise. Now, this slide illustrates the typical design bid build process. In this process, it starts with owner selects the architect, right? Architect or general contractor based on low bid or based on the low cost. And following this, your architect will develop programs and schematic designs, selects engineers based on low bid again to design the structural part. And your general contractor selects subs based on low bid again. And finally, general contractor and subcontractors work together to get the building constructed. So keep this whole process in your mind and use your own words to explain the challenges attributed to the fragmented nature of the AEC industry and the heavy reliance on paper. Make sure that you provide examples. So this is a good time, this is a good place for everybody to pause, think, and come up with the challenges and the difficulties in carrying out this design bid build process with heavy reliance on the paper drawings and also the involvement of a large group of people with different roles, playing different roles. Okay, let's come back. So I hope everybody had a good exercise. And a few challenges and problems we identify, including first, information sharing among participants using paper is a major challenge. Second, interoperability issues as parties use different file formats. Third, communication issues with different domain knowledge. People might use different terms to refer to the same thing or use the same term to refer to different things, depending on which discipline you work in. Different ideas, conflict of interests. Many people view this as a big cake. You take one more bite, which means I have to take one less. Of course, people playing various roles and responsibilities, causing a lot of communications and the difficult communications and the amount and heterogeneity of information. Changes to the plan and the distributing to everybody is a tedious process. You want to make sure that everybody is looking at the same version, which could be a nightmare. So let's summarize what we have learned today. The construction industry is labeled with low level of automation, is one of the most dangerous industries with the highest fatality rate, is often viewed as a low tech and a low level of automation again. Two characteristics of the facility delivery process that could be addressed by our BIM adoption. One is the fragmented nature. Two is the heavy reliance on paper. And yes, BIM will be able to address the challenges caused by the fragmented nature of the industry, as well as eliminate the heavy reliance on compute.